What's up, TrendPop viewers? Get ready for a rapid-fire rundown of the stories that matter. First up, a bombshell from Fox News, where host Brian Kilmeade dropped a jaw-dropping comment about the homeless crisis, suggesting a drastic and disturbing solution that has everyone talking. Then, we're heading to Memphis, a city calling out for help. The National Guard is set to arrive, a critical move amidst rising concerns. We'll break down why Memphis needs these resources now and what it means for the community. But the story doesn't end there. Following his controversial remarks, Brian Kilmeade has issued an apology. We'll explore the fallout from his statements on homelessness and mental illness and what his admission of fault signifies. And finally, we're turning our attention to international affairs as Rebeccah Heinrichs weighs in on Qatar's role in pressuring Hamas for the release of Israeli hostages, all against the backdrop of a tense U.S.-Middle East relationship. Don't miss a second of this. Hit that like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. Fox News host suggests lethal injection for homeless. This shocking statement came from Fox News host Brian Kilmeade during a discussion on the September 10 episode of Fox and Friends concerning the tragic murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska. The victim was fatally stabbed on a light rail train in North Carolina by a homeless individual with a history of mental illness and numerous prior arrests. Kilmeade's inflammatory remark, suggesting involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill M, came after co-host Lawrence Jones discussed the difficulties authorities face in addressing the homeless and mental health crisis, noting that many individuals refuse offered programs. Jones stated, "You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you or you decide that you are going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now." Kilmeade's comments quickly went viral, sparking widespread condemnation across social media. California Governor Gavin Newsom responded by quoting Proverbs 21:13, and representatives like Don Bayer and public figures such as Shannon Watts and Sarah Longwell voiced their outrage, with some calling for Kilmeade's resignation and labeling his remarks as calls for mass murder. The accused assailant, DeCarlos Brown Jr., faces potential life in prison or execution for the murder. This story is far from over, and the debate it ignited is just heating up. But before we dive deeper into the national conversation, get ready for a city crying out for urgent intervention. Memphis braces for National Guard deployment amid crime concerns. In response to escalating violent crime, the city of Memphis is preparing for the arrival of the National Guard. This significant deployment underscores the severity of the situation and the urgent need for additional resources to combat the crime wave that has gripped the city. The decision comes as residents express deep concern for their safety. The mother of a violent crime victim, Shy Liggins, shared her perspective on President Donald Trump's decision to send the National Guard, highlighting the desperate need for intervention. "We need the resources," she exclaimed, emphasizing the critical support the Guard's presence is expected to provide in restoring order and safety to the streets of Memphis. This move signifies a critical point for the city, as local authorities seek to regain control and assure the public that steps are being taken to address the ongoing crisis. The community is looking to this deployment as a beacon of hope for a safer future. While Memphis calls for backup, another story unfolds as a controversial figure faces the consequences of his words. Next, we'll cover the apology that followed those shocking remarks. Fox and Friends co-host Brian Kilmeade apologizes for controversial remarks on homelessness and mental illness. Following widespread backlash for his suggestion of involuntary lethal injection for homeless individuals, Fox and Friends co-host Brian Kilmeade has admitted fault and issued an apology. The incident occurred during a discussion about the murder of Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee killed by a homeless individual diagnosed with schizophrenia. Kilmeade's original statement, or involuntary lethal injection or something, "Just kill M," drew sharp criticism from politicians, activists, and the public, with many deeming the remarks insensitive and dangerous. Critics, including California Governor Gavin Newsom and Representative Don Bayer, condemned the comments as advocating for violence against vulnerable populations. In his apology, Kilmeade acknowledged that his words were inappropriate and did not reflect the compassionate approach needed to address complex social issues like homelessness and mental health. This admission of fault comes after the remarks went viral and sparked a national conversation about the rhetoric used when discussing these sensitive topics. The situation highlights the intense scrutiny public figures face and the impact their words can have on public discourse. An apology has been made, but the international stage remains tense. Stay with us as we shift focus to crucial diplomatic efforts and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Qatar urged to pressure Hamas for Israeli hostage release amid U.S. Middle East tensions. Hudson Institute senior fellow Rebeccah Heinrichs joined Fox and Friends Weekend to discuss the critical role Qatar may play in mediating the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. The conversation comes in the wake of Israeli strikes on Hamas leaders and amid a complex and evolving U.S. Middle East relationship. Heinrich emphasized that Qatar, a key player in the region with influence over Hamas, needs to exert greater pressure to secure the freedom of the hostages. This call for action highlights the ongoing diplomatic efforts and the international community's focus on resolving the hostage crisis that has gripped the region. The situation is further complicated by the delicate balance of power and the various geopolitical interests at play. Her insights shed light on the intricate diplomatic maneuvers and the urgent need for resolution in the conflict. The effectiveness of such pressure and Qatar's willingness to engage fully remain central questions in the ongoing efforts to de-escalate tensions and achieve peace. From controversial statements to international diplomacy, we've covered a lot of ground. But before you go, let's do a quick recap of these major stories. And that's a wrap on today's top stories. We saw a shocking proposal regarding the homeless crisis on Fox News, the National Guard heading to Memphis to bolster resources, Brian Kilmeade apologizing for his controversial remarks, and a call for Qatar to pressure Hamas. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to TrendPop for all your trending news, hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and follow us on all our social media channels for more. We'll see you in the next one.